Okay, hello everyone. It's really great to see all of you come back to my channel, and today we will start our keep starting talking about our chapters of chapter 2 about the fundamental physics, and today's topic is the origin of the atoms. So, here's that origin means that it's just a start from some a point, the time points, and there's an idea is the atoms. So this all actually can back we can trace back to the before the BC, about before 300 years ago. And in that times then there's some lots of the composition matters we're talking about that. So if we go back to the same 300 years ago, there's two philosophers. The first one is Aristotle, and another is Democritus. Okay, so uh, and in the back we will dive back to the lectures about the philosophy. Lots of the people that thinks that all the matters, all of the compositions, the matters, what kinds of things can compose the matters. So it's really is a really big, really big question is what is the composition of the matters. So the first one is that about the Aristotle thinks that the matter actually can composed by lots of the continuums. And the continuums. It means that the continuous idea is that you think all of the matter can compose of lots of the elements. Okay, so there's lots of like he thinks that our things is like the airs, the fire, and the waters, and like something like this kind of things. Nature can compose all the matters. So this is called a continuous. In Chinese means that the 连续. So you can cut everything into the pieces, and you can keep cutting until infinitely. Okay, so this is the ideas of Aristotle. And another philosopher we call Democritus, and his student, he proposed ideas that there's a one things that compose all matters. We call it atoms. So so atom is kind of a things he cannot slice into pieces. So the atom is the smallest. He is the smallest particles, maybe the smallest the matters in the world. However, that when we back to these two philosophy actually just talking about the ideas actually is just we call this as the metaphysics. So the metaphysics means that he's not a real body, he's not the real ideas. He just a sound, it's just ideologics for all of that. Okay, so this is the metaphysics, the ideas of the metaphysics. Okay, so you can find that the including the word actually the continuous that these ideas are continuous. For the Aristotle that he think the continuous is the ideas, and the atoms is a kind of the smallest ideas. We call in the math form. This is we call the discrete, and discrete in Chinese as 离散. Okay, and about the metaphysics means that in Chinese is 形上学. It just means that something will be cannot use this just on the philosophy, not the scientific way, and not the scientific methods. It's just ideas about the logic. Okay, so when we start to talking about these ideas, that there's lots of things we can talking about. However, that about from the before 300 years ago, and to about almost the 80s centuries. Okay, there's a man we call the Revolge. So the Revolger he proposed some ideas that the mass conservation ideas, conservation laws. Okay, the mass conservation laws, and also that there's lots of the about the he thinks that when we the chemical reaction A plus B will reduce will we cause break into the C, and final that um, C plus D will finally get equal will react into the E, and these things actually will maintain the mass conservation. Okay, so so these ideas have helped lots of people and Harvard and helped lots of the chemistry to integrate all the things into the one series. So we can combine all these theories about including the mass conservative laws into the Dalton theory. So the Dalton theory actually is starting from the 80 80 80 hundreds years ago, and so he start to propose an ideas that original version is that he think that all the things he can become compose can compose of the can the matter is actually he thinks that the matter is composed of the atoms. Okay, so this is first one, and also he thinks that all the particles, all the elements, the same element will have the same mass, and also that he finds that okay, and the reaction before and after the max is equal. Okay, so however, let we find out that the matter is composed of the electrons. Actually, we know that there's some electrons, and also we have the positions like this one. So this idea have already have already been broken by in on modern physics. Okay, so we have the E prime minus and the EP plus, and also that the same elements will have the the same mass meaning that. However, we have already know that the H, this element symbol of H, this is the fundamental byte, and we can this one have the same isotope over here. Okay, so this is right, and the reaction before and after the mass will equal. However, as we have already know that in today's we have some nuclear reactions. Okay, so for Dalton series, actually we can notice the first. Here is some very important topic is that the first topic is the Dalton theory talking us that the Dalton theory seems that we have already the first theory about the atom theory. Okay, so this laws actually, this the hypothesis actually is can have lots of experiment laws to fit in. So this is a very important topics for all of us to learn these kinds of things. Okay, so and when so we have already know that all this matters. So if you agree that all the things, all the matters can be created by can be composed by the atoms. So the atoms will stack together, or maybe the stack to each other will be the binding together. So he will we will produce lots of different ideas until now. So the first one is that we can use this atom model to help us to construct the matters of the state. Okay, and here is the max the gas. So when uh, we use the water as as a, as a, so we just use the atom to help us to describe this. Here is gas. This is a gas. And the particle is the gas. It will be the gas molecules. So the different molecule over here and will have the different over here have a different distance, right? So for the gas will longer. He will longer large. He have a longer distance between these ones, and also that in the gas actually he will no you can he cannot he can compressible. So if you use some thing to compress it, you will find that it can compressible in your containers. Okay. And so when we back go from the gas into the liquid, we will know that there's some very lots of molecules will combine together. So you will see here over here there's a lot of particles here, and if a lot smaller, you will have the smaller R length the gas. However, he is on in compressible. Okay, so so when we come down to the liquid to the liquid solid, and you will find that you will stack together. You will stack together, and very orderly. Okay, so so you will find that the state of the solid state actually the atoms will vibrations, so he will vibration over here. Okay, so here will vibrations. So you will find that when you see the state of the solid state, you will find that the atom actually he will vibrations. Okay, so he will vibration in the location. So this is really cool ideas that okay. And the four is the research of verifications. So the first one is the Brownian motion. When we're talking about the ideas of the state of the state the state when we use told you that the waters have the gas will liquid state will have the solid states. Actually, all the result verification talking about that the atoms is actually exists. However, um, in about the Brownian, the first phenomenon can be found is about the 80, 80s, 23 years ago. A man who called Brown. Brown, he said he found that something he found at the Poland, and this is the Poland, and you will find that the Poland actually will really wild vibration when he start to in the when we use when we push we let the Poland into the waters, and you will find that the Poland actually have a really weird rendering. You have a very weird renderings path like this one, and you will see that here's over here have some angles, and this is really strange what is happening. So the first that the Bronx he thinks that maybe he just a kind of this is a kind of a new biologics things. However, that we found that this is just because this idea actually can be talking about by Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein find out about the 1903. He proposed an ideas that the statics he used the statistical data. and prove that this is the atoms, the collection. Okay, so it means that the pollens actually who will be collection, he will collected by the water molecules. We call it. Okay, so this is really real views. So about in 1908 years, and the parent is a French scientist. He proposed some experiments to do this again, and finally he used the Einstein statistics method to prove that the the Brownian motion actually just kinds of the pollen can, pollen actually can be collided by the H2O molecules. Okay, so this is the kinds of pollen sets. So in today's that we have already have some news in modern instrument to prove that. The first is the atomic force microscopies, and so you can find that this is the tips. This is a metal tips, and this metal tip is really really tiny, so it can moving around. You can just moving up through the material surface, or maybe the surface of the mantles, and you will find that there are some cracked rolls. So the the atomic force microscopy, he can just use this mold to contact and finally can draw and to mapping up the the difference between the difference between the words. Okay. And this is the final really important the scanning to marine microscopics. So actually Taiwan has very important, we call it very important scientist called Zheng Tianzuo. He used these tips over all these the molecules. So he will find in these tips that the electrons will jump to the surface. So this will become the current. Okay, so this current we call the tunneling current. Okay, so the tunneling current have the very down and very up and down. So we can use the very up and down to finally to get the mapping map of the morphologies of the materials. So all these things actually to prove that if you want to make sure that the microscopics scales to the macroscopics, so you got to use a really the fine very well instrument to prove that. So this is really important topics for overuse that. Okay, so today's we talking about, so let's get some reviews. We talking about the origin of the atoms, and we're talking about the philosophy, the Aristotle and the Democritus, these ideas, and we reviewed the Dalton series where you have already run in the junior high school. Okay, and also that we use the ideas, the atoms to let all of you to make sure that the models of the atom actually can construct by this one, the gas can construct a different states like the gas, liquid, solid, and all these states actually you can use the atom model to describe it. So the gas, you can use the distance between the two molecules will be larger, the liquids will be smaller, and the solid will be the most smallest. And all these all these states have their own properties to do that. So this is really important topics. And final that we told you that the Brownian motion, the importance of the Brownian motion, and told you that the modern instrument to make to prove that the atom is exists in the world. So this is today's topics about the matter's compositions. So The next chapter we will talking about the the structure of the atoms. Okay, so thank you all of you to see my channel. Now this is all today's missions.